Hi, I'm Dr. Scott Gillingham. I'm a poultry veterinarian involved in the poultry industry across Canada for over 30 years now. I'm here today because we're looking at a barn setup, and the barn setup is with respect to brooding. Starting these chicks off in the right environment. So today we're going to spend the morning and look at the brooding parameters that are conducive to developing an immune system, get the gastrointestinal system working, but more importantly, develop the bird for the future and grow it in this barn through the production cycle. When we work across Canada from Newfoundland to British Columbia, and in this province alone, you have about 1,100 farmers. And for me, there's 1,100 different ways of growing chicken. That's why the barn dynamics are absolutely critical. And biosecurity has to be practiced at all levels. We build up the wall of protection through vaccination, good nutrition, but we need to also reduce that wave of insult. So we put on our coveralls, we put on our gloves, we put on our head net, we put on our boots, because what is in contact with the environment we need to understand could infect the birds or cause challenges. So biosecurity is critical. When I come into a barn, the really important thing is to look at an integrated approach. You just don't want to inspect. You have to have that auditing kind of attitude. Write down what you do what you write down, and prove it. We have to evaluate, and I like to use the acronym FLAWS, food, lighting, air, water, space, and sanitation, because no barn is the same. Different feed, different lighting, different litter, shavings, chopped straw, barley, wheat, long straw. Looking at this barn right now, it feels very comfortable at my level. When I look at the parameters here, the first and foremost is the feed. What we like to see is at least 50 to 70% of the brooding space covered with paper. That paper then provides a little bit of insulation from the straw to the chick, but also the medium or the foundation for the feed. We want at least 40 to 50 grams of feed dispersed on the paper per chick. These feed pans are in the litter. They've also a spillover, so we have to allocate the feed in the pan, which becomes a satellite feeder, as well as the feed on the paper to get to that 40 to 50 grams per chick. That's critical. Now, looking at the quality of the feed, this looks like a crumb, and crumb texture becomes important. So for starting chicks, you want consistency. Science and research has proved that chicks like a size between 2 mm and 3 mm. And these pans are shallow, which is good, but more feed here in the center row would be conducive to possibly more crop fill. When I look at the lighting is at least 10 feet above, but the intensity from these LED lights is very bright. It's a new barn, we got some reflection. And when we start chicks, we have to have a bright light, a good intensity. There's a lot of tools that can be used in the field or investigation in evaluating the brooding chamber. A tool that I really like is a CO2 and moisture meter. And what I like to do is put it at an area in the barn. You try to put it in different areas, and then you can read the CO2 and then the humidity. So I usually put this out, and after 30 seconds, read it now. The CO2 is 568. And we know that humidity in this barn would be low, and it's 22%. CO2 is perfect, so they might apply their misters on the non-brooding side and try to generate some opportunity for moisture. When those heaters are on, I would like to go down and find out exactly where it's 90 degrees. And I would paint every 10 feet, when those heaters are on, exactly where it was 90 degrees. I would get my spray can and do the same thing when the heaters are off. Now, your brooding chamber is between those two painted lines. Where am I going to put my feed and water? Where are the chicks going to be in their comfort zone? Between those two lines. Now the water lines. They got 3 rows of water lines, which is fantastic. I like to see the lines flushed a couple of hours before the chicks come. That alleviates some of the air pockets. And then I'd like to activate all the nipples with a broom so that there's a droplet of water from each nipple. You can run a broom down here, just like this, and you can activate these water lines. That droplet from the nipple has to reflect from the light. Chicks are very curious. At eye level, they will see that glistening drop and run over and start picking at it. You see that droplet which the chick perceives, and it drinks it. Now what's really important is the height of the water line. Those nipples have to be at eye height to the chick. The chicks are hatched in the hatchery. There they have certain temperatures and humidity. Those are conducive for quality chicks. The chicks then are sorted, they're put on a truck and brought to the barn. The barn somewhat has to mimic the hatchery environment. A chicken is like a cold-blooded animal for the first 4 to 5 days. It cannot thermoregulate. The environment, the brooding chamber, becomes critical. What we need to do is create that brooding chamber for the health and welfare of the chick. The space is great. This is spot brooding. We have 3 water lines. We have 2 feed lines. Excellent capacity here for the birds to maneuver and find a comfort zone for feed and water. Sanitation, wonderful. So barn preparation, we have to remember, we are the mother hen. We have to create that brooding chamber that is conducive with heat, humidity, lighting, etc. for that chick to what? Get to feed and water. Brooding to me is a full-time process. We can't just put the birds down and run away. We need to come back every 2 hours to readjust our equipment. When these chicks arrive after 2 hours, we should have 25% eating, 25% drinking, 25% resting, 25% playing. The key is what we want to do is get the birds placed on the floor and then get them into the brooding chamber as quickly as possible. So we handle them with tender, loving care. So when the chicks come off the truck, just take a box, take a few